I think I'm saying that we struggle all our lives to answer it. But it's the struggle that is important. That's what helps us to define our place in the universe.
This is Beverly, Dr. Beverly, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Look where we are. Here, all of us, in this moment. So let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at.
And this is Crusher Convo.
And welcome to Crusher Convo, where we're crushing the conversation one episode at a time. Today, I have actor, activist, and 22-year survivor Kitty Swink to discuss this year's Purple Stride, an event to help raise money to fight against pancreatic cancer. Hi, Kitty.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome back. It's a pleasure to see you again. How was your year? Was all good? All good things?
Well, the world is a little bizarre, but for me personally, all good things. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. I am wearing my Sci-Fi Sister shirt because this episode is going to be dedicated to Sabrina Woods. Yeah. I did not have the pleasure to know Sabrina as well as you guys did, but, I definitely, saw them in the chat, did some sci-fi, saw their episodes sometimes, met them a couple times at STLV, and she was just a bright light. And even though I was not as close to her as others, her loss is felt not only in Star Trek, but the podcast community. So I definitely wanted to do that today. But let's go ahead and start and talk about letting everyone know what's happening on April 26th.
Okay, on April 26th, in about 60 cities around the country, there are Purple Stride Walks, which raise awareness and money and hope. I think hope is the big word in the fight against pancreatic cancer. When I was diagnosed, I had a 4% chance of surviving 5 years. That's 13% now. That's not good enough. PanCan is the largest and most comprehensive pancreatic cancer organization, nonprofit in the world. And we've done a lot of extraordinary things. I'm so glad. I think all my teammates, which if you don't know, are my husband, Armin Shimmerman, the adorable, Jonathan Frakes, one of our oldest, dearest friends. Armin and Jonathan know each other longer than Armin and I have known each other. And we've been married almost 45 years. John Billingsley and JC, Juan Carlos Cotto, Manny's brother. So Manny and Jonathan both lost their brothers. John, his mom, and I'm lucky enough to survive, but we have all lost so many friends. It's on track to be the second most deadly cancer in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was even looking at stats about that. So, just last year in October, R&B singer D'Angelo passed away from pancreatic cancer at 51. And, of course, PanCam had basically said that pancreatic cancer remains as a major cause of death with over 50,000 deaths expected in 2025. I couldn't see what the actual number was, but just that high number of, like you said, only 13% survival. But celebrities that have passed, Donna Reed, Joan Crawford, Michael Landon, Pavarotti, Patrick Swayze, Steve Jobs, Sally Ride, Alan Rickman, the list goes on. I did kind of notice, though, it seemed more like men than women. Is that accurate, or is just...
I think it's more that you hear about men than women, and there's not as many sadly famous women as men. But yes, I lost 3 female friends to pancreatic cancer within a year. Yeah, from last March to the previous March. So Diane Delano, who was a trip, and she was amazing, and a couple of other... it's just really this relentless disease, and I promise you don't want to have it. It's unbelievably painful. Yeah.
You're accurate in that. I wasn't sure if it was just informational problems, because I know some diseases might affect one, over the other, but it just seems like PanCan has no discrimination against that. But what is your goal this year for Purple Stride as we celebrate the 60 years of Trek?
Our team's goal is $150,000, and we're over 89 now, so we're doing pretty well. And all 5 of us kick in pretty strongly, and then we keep going. And there's a lot of stuff going on. We'll get there. Well, it's going to be tough this year because inflation is so high, and I know people are feeling the pain. Everybody's feeling the pain of not just gas prices, but food's going to go up because delivery of food, and food's going to go up because a huge portion of the fertilizer in the world comes through the Strait of Hormuz. So I know that if you can't do it, you can't do it. But please share the information. Go to Purple Stride and join our team. Walk. The Sci-Fi Sisters have joined our team, but they're going to walk in Washington, D.C. So if you decide to join our team, I will get a ping because I'm the captain, and I will let you know where you can walk near you. And if you tell me you're going to walk for Team Trek against pancreatic cancer, then I will let them know that you're going to be in wherever, Kansas City, Kansas, or wherever you're going to be. Yeah. Which, by the way, is a very good walk. Armin did it a couple of years ago in Kansas. Loved it. Yeah.
I did a couple of walks for the American Heart Association because one of my friends, her son was born with the heart defect. And we walked for him and also my mom, because even though she has pulmonary hypertension, which does affect the lungs, it also affects the heart. So we definitely did that. And yeah, it's a great walk. It's, always nice to do it on a lovely day. If it's cold and rainy, it's a little different. But dedication's still there.
It was pouring down rain in Santa Monica. It was just... I'm up on the stage going, yay, go team. I'm going... And I'm an Oregonian. I grew up in the rain. I like rain, but it was unbelievable. Yeah.
The thing about California is that it either rains or it doesn't. But when it rains, it pours. And when it doesn't, it's hot. That's just it.
That's true. We've had the hottest March in the history of California this month.
I saw that. Yeah, we actually had, I'm from California, but I moved to Idaho. We had the most driest winter. I think it officially snowed 3 times, and that was barely snowing because it didn't even stick. And so I'm so worried about next year because I'm it's going to be a backup. It's going to be all this, Yeah. And we did have this thing called Snowmageddon where it snowed 56 inches or something like that over the course of a couple of weeks. I'm just not looking forward to it. I'm scared.
Where in Idaho are you?
I'm near Boise. Yeah. So just
in Idaho Falls for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm just outside of Boise, but beautiful weather, but it does not, it's never the same all the time. You never know. And my allergies have been so bad these last couple of weeks. I'm finally feeling somewhat human, but it came with a vengeance. And I was like, spring just started yesterday, but it started a little early. It's getting me ready. It's something that's trying to tell me something. You were saying with pancreatic cancer, it's a hard disease to, the heart, one of the hardest cancers to deal with. Yeah. But what are the accidental diagnoses is more common when you have pancreatic cancer? Because I've heard you could have back pain, and I feel like back pain is so common. It could be, I suffer from back pain, but it's because of other injuries. But for other people,
right? I thought I am a 71-year-old woman trapped in a 12-year-old boy's body, and I'm a jock. I've always been a jock. So 22 years ago, I was a crazy jock, and I just thought the back pain was because I wouldn't stop working out all the time, and I was still boxing, and I was running 40 miles a week, and I'm insane. So that I had acid reflux. I started to inexplicably lose weight, which is, if you can see my wrists, you understand that that's never a good idea for me. I am my mother's daughter, and I couldn't figure, I just kept dropping weight. And do you know Tony Amendola? Wonderful actor, was on Stargate a lot. He
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful actor. He and Armin and I were doing, and my best friend Dinah and Ethan Phillips were doing Hamlet, and my clothes were falling off me by the end of the show. And then 2 weeks after we closed, I went to see Cecily Adams in the hospital, and because she was, God rest her soul, dying of lung cancer, having not been a smoker. And I was holding onto her feet, trying to take the pain out of her body, just wishing I could take the pain out of her body. And her childhood nanny was there, and she said, I don't think you should be worried about Sess. You should be worried about yourself. And I came home and I said that to Armin, and he said, well, yeah, look at this. You've got this and this and this, and it's crazy. And you're tired all the time, and you haven't been working out very much, and that's not like you. And I called my doctor, and she said, well, I can't get you in for a couple of weeks. And then the next morning they called on a Friday morning and said, somebody just canceled. Why don't you come right now? And so I went, and she said, well, it's probably the stress you're under, but let's just take some blood work because you're never a complainer. So on Monday, I got a call when I wasn't home, and she said, your kidneys and your liver are shutting down. Go to Cedars right now. Go to Cedars-Sinai right now. 17 days later, I came out of Cedars with a diagnosis and missing half my stomach, half my pancreas, my gallbladder, 2 feet of my intestines, and 28 lymph nodes. So yeah, it's sort of mysterious. And that's what happened with Manny Cotto is he became diabetic, which is also, if you all of a sudden become diabetic, that can be, particularly if you're not young, if you're in your 40s or something or over, then that could be a sign that you have pancreatic cancer. And if that happens to you, make them test you. It's really hard to find. That's the problem. It's not like a mammogram or a lot of other cancers that, you can't.
Colonoscopies.
Yeah, colonoscopy, not comfortable, but easy to do. There's no easy test. They're working on it. It's amazing. But those are all things that if you have it, insist, like Sabrina, I talked to her almost 2 years before she died. I was doing their show and I described my symptoms, and she said to the ladies afterwards, I have all those symptoms. And she went to the doctor and said, this is what I have, and my friend has this, and they still misdiagnosed her. And then I saw her in Las Vegas, and she had become diabetic, and I said, you have to go back. You have to go back. But by the time they found it, it was too late. And, a lot of doctors are great, but a lot of doctors don't know anything about pancreatic cancer because it's so deadly. I think they don't bother to learn. A lot of them don't understand that there is real hope, especially if you get diagnosed early. There's real hope. There's real change. So, yeah.
I just thought it was just so crazy for, Sci-Fi Sisters have always been, front of the line when it comes to raising money for Trek Talks or PanCam or whatever. And to see Sabrina die from a disease she spoke so, advocated for just was mind-boggling to me. But just recently, my daughter's school was having a blood drive, and she's in high school. And so one of the friends was like, yeah, I'll donate blood, no big deal. And all of a sudden, 3 days later, he gets a call to leave the school, and he's rushed to the hospital. They found he had leukemia when he donated, and they caught it so early.
Wow.
That they're going to be able to treat it. But I was like, oh my gosh. I told my daughter, she's like, it's so scary. I was like, yeah, that's ridiculous. Because they were all freaking out of why did he leave and go to the hospital? But yeah, they caught it because he decided to donate some blood.
That's amazing.
So it's crazy how, things could happen perfectly. And then for others, like you're saying, it's like pulling teeth with some doctors. I know for me, I had to kind of advocate myself. I have this horrible pain in my neck, and I keep telling my doctor I need to see how my osteoarthritis is doing. And then he's like, well, you don't really need, and I'm like, I need an MRI. Yeah. I need to see what progression is. It's like, well, it's too expensive. I'm the one yeah. I'm the one asking for it.
So Jessie, I'm going to say, this is really important what you're saying. You have to be an advocate for yourself. And it's helpful if you have somebody else in your life who can also advocate. But it's really important that you don't take no for an answer. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard because you trust these doctors. You're just like, okay, maybe it's just me and being paranoid. I don't know. And then something serious happens.
Yeah. I have to say I'm really blessed because Alice listens to me. That's my doctor. She's been my doctor for 25 years or something, my internist. And she really listens. She wants to hear what you have to say because she just makes time. And I think most doctors just they don't have the time because the insurance companies are cranking people through, and it costs so much money to go to medical school that people don't go to medical school or nursing school. We have a shortage of both those things, and they don't have time to do what they need to do, and sometimes they just can't keep up with all the latest stuff. So you have to advocate.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what advice would you give to someone who has been newly diagnosed with pancreatic cancer?
Go to pancan.org right away. I'm serious. Everything they do is free. There's emotional support for you and your family members and friends. There are case managers that will really help walk you through the process. They will make sure that there's a program about understanding your own tumor. And if they check your tumor, then they can help you get into trials for that specific version of the tumor, because pancreatic cancer is this. There's a lot of different versions.
Variations.
As of breast cancer, which I also had in my 30s. That was easy, though. I had like the world's fastest trip through breast cancer. Pancreatic cancer.
Compared the two, yeah.
So really, I talk to people all the time. And that's the first thing I would say to do. The second thing I would say to do is be alive when you're alive, because we never know if you're going to wake up tomorrow. Maybe your house falls on you. Who knows? So enjoy and be with your friends and your family and do the things you love and all those things. But the first thing is to go to PanCan. Go to PanCan. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned about, just being alive and doing things because you just never know what's going to happen. Just recently in my city, the mayor, who was just appointed a few months ago, he was in the meeting with other mayors of the valley, and he just collapsed and died right there.
Oh my God.
Instant heart attack, I think it was, but he was 47. And I was thinking that with my husband, because I just turned 40. My husband's 42. And I was all like, oh, you just never know. You just never know. And so it's always important to pay attention. And it's also always important to not only live life, but be kind to others. And that's what I've learned with Star Trek, especially because you never know what anyone else is going through in their lives. So it's just, hope and kindness, I think, is what Star Trek definitely showcases. With
one of the great lessons about Star Trek, but also life in general, is if you do something, you get so much more back from doing something nice for somebody else than you do from being greedy. You get more joy. I don't need more stuff in my life. I need to have other people be happy. I need to have other people do well. And that comes back to me over and over and over again. One of the reasons why, when they asked me to be an ambassador for PanCan, and I said, I have a better idea. Let's put a Star Trek team together. And at first it was Armin and I and Jonathan, and we were at a going away party for Marina when she was moving back to England. And I looked at him and I said, do you want to do this with us? And like that, he said, yes. And I think he takes such joy out of doing it. All five of us take so much joy out of doing this.
Yeah, helping others, definitely. It makes you feel good. It makes you, seeing someone else happy and smile and everything, and that's just, especially, it's so important right now. Mm-hmm. Now, how has surviving cancer changed your outlook on life?
Well, I live every day. Every once in a while I go, and I get bogged down, and then I go, wait a minute, you're alive. Go do it. And I'm an activist. I'm an actor, and I'm a producer, and occasionally I'm a director, but I'm an activist all the time because I was given grace, and I want to make sure other people get grace. So I think that's a huge part. One of the great gifts about surviving pancreatic cancer is not only can I help other people survive, but I can help them thrive if they don't survive before that happens. And more than that, I'm out in the world all the time trying to, I'm writing postcards to voters today after I get all my work done. And I think it wasn't just a gift that I'm still here, that I got so far 22 more years with Armin and my friends and my nieces and nephews. And last night there was an opening of a show for children based on, and there was amazing, at Pasadena Playhouse. And they said, it's for kids. And so a young woman named Lisa DeVerde Seneca, who is a voice on one of the, I think might be Discovery, I could be wrong, on one of the shows, but she's played my daughter a couple of times. And we did, she was in 12th Night that Armin directed, that I was in, she's from Amsterdam originally. So her parents aren't here. So she calls me mom, and her 8-year-old and 6-year-old came, and we went to the theater together because they said, you can bring 3 people to see the show. And I wouldn't have had that. I didn't choose to have children, but I'm everybody else's mother. So I wouldn't have had that great thing. It's what a gift. What a gift I got. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what do you wish more people understood about pancreatic cancer?
You can win. You can survive. I think people go, oh, I got pancreatic cancer, I'm going to die. Not, look at me. A friend of mine who was in the booth on sitcoms for years, and we directed a friend of mine who was a sitcom writer wrote some pieces for oh my God, I can't say their names. Oh my God, that's terrible. Sisters, tennis players, they're incredible.
Serena and Venus?
Oh my God. Yeah, so oh my God. Okay.
I've had those moments. You're not alone. I'm surprised I even knew the answer. I would have gone blank myself.
So she left the business, and she and her husband and kids moved back to Chicago. And during the pandemic, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and she called me, and I hooked her up with PanCan and blah, blah, blah. Well, here she is, almost 4 years clean of pancreatic cancer. It happens. It happens. Yeah.
I think we always hear, oh, this person died of pancreatic, this person died of pancreatic, like the list I just mentioned earlier. Like everyone's just hearing the sad ending of most of these people, but they don't really hear the success stories of it, right?
From Monty Python. He won't be there this year, but he's also a survivor. And he's at Purple Stride in LA most of the time. And it's, I love cutting a ribbon with him because under his breath, he's making me laugh so hard. I'm like, he's fantastic. He's still with us. He's great. He's just everything you think somebody from Monty Python would be. There he is.
Oh, I loved Monty Python when I was a kid.
Me too.
I saw John Cleese. I was at, I think it was the Bonnie Hunt show, when she had a talk show. John Cleese was there, and I got like this whole collection of Bonnie. Oh, I was so excited. I mean, this is those moments of like, oh my gosh. Now shifting from PanCam to some fun little questions here. Like, I see that you have been on stage recently, and your play outside Mullingar won the Best Ensemble Award for a Stage Raw, so congratulations. But what does it feel like to perform live on stage compared to acting in front of a camera?
It's more comfortable for me because I grew up on doing that. I started doing plays as a kid, and went to New York because I wanted to be a stage actor. And I love being on camera, but there's a freedom on stage, and the audience becomes the other. It's not real until the audience is there and they're the other character. And that's magical. We had a Star Trek night at 12th Night, and Mullingar, a whole bunch of Star Trek fans came together. It was fantastic. And also Buffy fans, a whole bunch of Buffy fans came together one night. It was fantastic because I'm learning from them and they're learning from me. And it's wonderful. So I've been directed by Jonathan. I did an episode of Leverage, and he's great, and he's really fun, and I learn from him, and he's my favorite director in television. But in a big theater, there can be 1,000 people out there. In a small theater, there can be 50 people out there, but it's a relationship. It's fantastic. I love that. So last year was a lot. And then this year, right now, sort of 3 in a row, I played Lord Capulet in Romeo and Juliet in the stage version, where they decided to radically miscast it. The guy who played my daughter, who played Juliet, was unbelievable. He was unbelievable and got every dirty joke in the play. I'm just saying that. And now I'm about to do a reading of Othello, where I play the father of Desdemona, and then I'm going to play Jaques at the Ebell, which is a wonderful old, like 100-year-old theater in LA on Wilshire, and As You Like It. So I'm having I'm massively studying Shakespeare all the time, and I can't tell you what joy there is. At the same time, I'm doing this narrative podcast story that I'm not only producing, but I'm playing one of the characters in, as is Armin. Yeah, so.
I love it. Well, my next question was actually if you had any projects currently or in the future that you're excited about. I feel like that might be one of them.
That's one of them. And when it's going to get released, I'll say, can we talk? Yeah, and I'll put a bunch of other people, and I'm going to try and talk some more Star Trek folks into it. And we're doing Outside Mullingar again, which I'm very excited about next fall. So, yeah.
And Armin was in that as well.
Armin, yeah. It's my favorite thing about this play is people leave so happy. We all need to laugh and be happy right now. And Armin and I playing a couple of crabby old Irish people seems about right to me. Yeah.
It worked out, right?
I'm a crabby old Irish person. There you go.
Now, I just talked to Doug Drexler last week, and I decided to do this thing. Instead of burning questions, I'm calling it crushing questions. And so it's just random quick questions just to kind of get to know you a little bit more. And so there's 5 of them. Okay. The first question is, what's the last book, movie, or TV show that made you cry?
Wow. I kind of cry at the drop of a hat.
Same.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what the last one was. I've been trying to read funny things lately. It didn't make me cry, but it upset me in a kind of extraordinary way, which was Colm Toibin's new book. It's a novella. It's short. And for the life of me, I can't tell you the name of it. But if you just look up Colm Toibin, Toibin, that's great. And the new, I'm really nerdy. I'm sorry. And the new Ian McEwan also, which is speculative fiction. So there's some stuff happening just a few years from now about climate change, and then deeply into the future. And it made me laugh, but also made me go, and that made me so sad. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, the next question, I stole this from Gates, but I think it's a brilliant question. But what was your favorite toy growing up?
Oh, boy. Probably my bicycle. Yeah. My bike. Yeah. I loved.
What was the famous bikes back then? I know, like the Red Riders, or I'm trying to remember the name.
I had a Schwinn.
A Schwinn, yeah.
Yeah,
gotta love those.
We would build there. I lived sort of at the apex of a hill, and we would build ramps and jump our bikes, which was incredibly stupid, and somebody always got hurt, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah. No, wait. My favorite thing was 5 houses down and across the street behind their house, we built a rope swing. And so we would climb up into the tree with the rope, and then we would and Tarzan around. It was great. I loved it.
Gotta love it. Oh man, sometimes I always have to tell my kid, I'm like, go outside. Like, just go do something. Stop watching TV. I'm like, get out of here. Now that she has her car though, she's like, Mom, I'm going. I'm like, bye. Get out.
Nobody's our parents would literally open the door and say, go outside and play. And then you just had to be home when it was dark. And
yeah.
Or when all the mothers opened the doors and went, come for dinner. All the kids in the neighborhood were playing hide and go seek or blah, blah, blah. It was great.
Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely. Now, which imaginary world would you like to live in?
I'd actually like to be on the Strange New Worlds ship.
Nice.
A lot of people I want to hang out with. Yeah.
Right? I mean, Paley is becoming my favorite, Carol Kane. You can't get enough of that.
Herman and Carol
What song?
raised together, and he thought she hung the moon. Yeah.
Oh, really? Now, what song do you know all the words to?
Lots. I know all the words to lots and lots of songs. So many songs.
Do you have a favorite artist or band?
Lately I've been re-listening to songs from when I was a kid, not a kid, my hippy dippy days. So I've been listening to a lot of Crosby, Stills and Nash and Buffalo Springfield and that stuff. I like to turn on music when I'm cooking, and then I'm dancing to the music, and I know all those songs. I also know a lot of musical comedy songs by heart. A lot of musical comedy songs by heart. Stephen Sondheim.
Those are classics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question. What's your favorite thing that you own and why?
My favorite thing that I own. Well, Armin actually owns it because I gave it to him, but we're both huge fans of George Bernard Shaw. And I found in a rare bookstore one time just a thank you note that he had written to somebody, and I had it framed. And that I can touch that piece of theatrical history in my own house is thrilling. But basically, I would say books. Most of the things if I turned my computer this way, you would see there's bookshelves everywhere in our house. And during the pandemic, I got rid of like 800 books. I would walk every day with my mask on and put books in those little book nook library things in front of people's houses. And I've probably added back 300 since then, because I read all the time and I want to support writers. I love libraries and I use them, but I like to, I don't buy stuff except books. I buy a lot of books and running shoes. Okay.
Hey, those are all good things. I was actually thinking about this question for me, and I was like, what do I have? And actually, I grew up with like I Love Lucy and Dick Van Dyke and all the classic television shows, and I loved their rotary phones, the Bakelite, the black.
Oh, yeah.
And my aunt, her husband, had his parents' 1950s Bakelite phone, and he gave it to me for Christmas. I burst into tears.
Wow.
And it's proudly in my living room, slightly collecting dust, but even you could still do it, and you could still kind of hear the little bell. Like I was like, I want to plug this in and hear it.
Right. When I was a kid, we had one phone in the house. When I was little, one phone. It was one of those big. Yeah, it's great. They were pretty. These are not. They're cool. They do a lot of cool things, but they're not pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. No, I definitely enjoyed the classic phones. But even like I used to do photography when my daughter was little, and so I had a DSLR and but like now this camera is like better than the camera I bought. And I'm like, now I know one could be a photographer, I guess. Not the same, but still.
Yeah, the every year when we do our video for PanCan, our Trek Against Pancreatic Cancer video, David Livingston comes and shoots it on his phone. I mean, he directed more episodes of Star Trek than anybody, and he shoots it on his phone, and then he edits it in. We have a cut that night. It's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. My daughter's been doing that on her own phone. Like, she'll just do random little things, cut it together, make a video. And I'm like,
yeah.
I remember back in the day when I had to sit here for hours. Yeah. Of course, not like with film where you had to like cut it. I'm just like, man, how times have changed.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what, Kitty? Thank you so much for joining me today. And we're talking about Purple Stride. And reminder, like she said, as it says in the scroll here, PanCan Purple Stride is Saturday, April 25th. Head over to the website. You can join Team Trek and you could walk in any city nearby. And if you scan that QR code, it will take you to the Team Trek website so you can donate, or however you can offer your services if you need to, if you cannot donate any money. But yeah, Kitty, do you have one last word to say?
I do. You can, if you're anywhere near LA, come walk with us. I mean, it's really fun. And we have a little tent and there's bagels. So how bad can it be? Come on.
I might fly down just for the bagels.
They're good. I got to say, they're
Where's
good.
my flight? All right. All right. Well, you know what? Thank you again, Kitty. And as always, everyone, live long and prosper and have a wonderful day.
Crusher out.